One Calvin University student is making masks to help the homeless population, who is among the most vulnerable when it comes to the spread of COVID-19.
This is our first field hospital in the United States. We have a 68-bed ward with 10 beds that are on ventilation.
Calvin University is stepping up to help first responders in Grand Rapids. The school's offering free housing to Spectrum healthcare workers and Grand Rapids Police Department employees.
COVID-19 is causing disruptions with everything, including the learning happening for Calvin University students inside this prison. What's exceptional is how the inmates are responding to it.
And I think justice won't come until we recognize that the system is unjust.
While coming together to hear the magnificent speakers won't happen, a virtual event will.
We published the first author paper on nature.com.
I want to use biology and use chemistry and use engineering to make a difference in the world.
A class of second graders at Granville Christian Elementary became engineers in training as part of a collaboration with a group of engineering students from Calvin University.
The Roy says Calvin is the first school in Michigan to be able to test each of its students and hopes the plan will create a pathway for others to bring students back to campus safely.
We are in this together.
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 The so what of all of it, the for what of all of it is really the end of our mission statement, to equip folks to be Christ agents of renewal in the world.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our event tonight. We just wanted to start out with that video just to show, with all the hurdles and the challenges that we've been faced with this year, how Calvin has been taking strides with that and making sure that we can provide an excellent opportunity for our students to come together and learn and create experiences and wonderful opportunities. So that actually fits really well in our topic tonight, because we're going to be talking about career outcomes. And tonight I'm joined by some wonderful people. So we have TaRita Johnson, who's the director at the Career Center, and we also have Melissa Rousseau, who is the director of admissions. Also, we have some parents from our parent board, alumni board, that are going to help and talk about some experiences. So we're going to start out with a couple of presentations outlining some of the careers and outcomes you can expect at Calvin, both by TaRita and then Melissa, and then we will follow up with a Q&A session with some of our parents. So if throughout this time you want to enter into the Q&A section, you can find it at the bottom of your screen and enter in some questions. We'll be answering those questions as the presentations go along, and also we'll be answering some of those questions through the panel. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to TaRita.
Hi, I don't know, can you all see me? Let me make sure I start my video here. Okay.
Yep, you're good.
All right. Well, it is a pleasure to be here this evening to talk about career outcomes. I'm going to talk a little bit about our Career Center to begin, just so you have some background. So if we can move to the next slide. I'm going to talk about our mission. Our mission is to equip students to succeed on their lifelong vocational path by determining their strengths, developing their skills, and discovering God's call for their lives. So our mission is to equip students, not just for that first job out of college, but for many careers after that, as we walk alongside all of the wonderful things that they're learning in their classes, as well as just by being a student in student life. Next slide, please. And so we have some wonderful career coaches. Our career coaches are divided by industry so that your student has that specialized focus. They work with our employer relations teams to understand what the opportunities are for internships and job opportunities, as well as graduate schools across the country and even internationally, as we serve a lot of our international students and students domestically who may want to travel overseas as well. And so we do a variety of services. We do virtual and in person every day from 8 to 5. So we do career and major exploration. So if there are students that are still deciding on what they want to do, we have a number of assessments that they can take to help them determine that. We also do cover letter development, resume and CV development and critique. Many of our employers actually do those critique alongside our coaches. We also do internship and job searching as well as career fairs. This year, for the first time, we did a few virtual career fairs and even have another one coming up this semester. We do a number of employer workshops. So every week, a different employer will come in person or do virtual a workshop, even on graduate school as well. We have office hours every day with our staff, but also employers do office hours as well. We have graduate school exploration and preparation for those students that feel, you know what, I want to go to graduate school. I'm not looking to have a job right away out of college, but I need that support as well. And so we also have a program that I hope many of you have heard about called Calvin LifeWork. It is an incentivized 4-year co-curricular program with an integrative approach to helping students discover their vocational callings and prepare for adult life from the point of initial contact with Calvin all the way through graduation. What we mean by incentivize is we do some awards throughout the program to keep students engaged, such as, maybe whatever is popular, like, one year it was hammocks, and it's just a variety of different things, or backpacks and different things just throughout the program. And so we focus in this program on vocation. What are they called to? What do they believe that God has called them to? Career readiness. We also focus on financial literacy and life skills. They develop a budget. They understand how to be a good steward of their finances. And leadership development. That's everything from how to be successful in this global economy, how to work in teams, how to make sure that they are knowledgeable about diversity, equity, and inclusion. Some of the testimonials I listed at the bottom. One of these, the first one is, I really enjoyed diving into the meaning of vocation. To have it explained and given realistic ways that vocation is not just a career was helpful. I now think deeply about my prime vocation and how my actions are a reflection of how I respond to God's grace. We are in the going in the 4th year of the program, and so we have over 1,500 students in the program today. So we're hoping you will sign up. So let's look at 2020. Now, we are still processing these career outcomes for 2020. COVID has been an interesting year for all of us. So this is a snapshot, but our official report will be done by May. And this is some of the data that we have today. So students that had gone into nonprofits and social, these are some of the different opportunities at City Year, Kids Food Basket, Meals on Wheels, medical at the Cancer Research Center. Spectrum is one of our largest employers in the Grand Rapids area. Accounting and finance, Goldman Sachs, Plant Moran, E&Y, BDO. Education, you will see there were a lot of schools in the Michigan area as well as the California area, Chicago area. We tend to see throughout the years in other areas that our students may either come from or may be interested in going to. Engineering and STEM, you'll see there's a number of companies there, Stryker, Visor, Whirlpool Corporation, Tecton. Many of these are opportunities that our students already are working today full-time. And then there's some notable grad schools for 2020. So tons of graduate opportunities for our students. About 25% of our graduates go to graduate school. And so these are some of the institutions that they're at today. Case Western, you'll see UCLA, Miami University, University of Michigan, Michigan State. Yeah, so we have a lot of students that are at these schools. And then for 2020, even though this was a global pandemic, we were proud that many of our students were able to get an internship. And so you'll see some notable employers here. This is not all of them, but still Case, Vermeer, Google, Pine Rest, Trans World Radio, Meyer, Dow Chemical, Calvary Church, the National Journalism Center, Calvin, of course, Forum of Christian Leaders, and you'll see Gentex and so many others. that our students had the opportunity to still intern this past summer despite the pandemic. And I'll tell you, as we work with employers, many of them will tell you if they get one Calvin student, they'll want another one, because our students have the moral compass, the intellectual horsepower, the drive for results. They're some of the best students that are employable. And sometimes we don't have enough students for the opportunities. And so let's get into 2019. So for every year, it takes us about a year to gather our graduate outcomes. We want to make sure that that first destination is correct. And so out of this report, 98.2% in 2019 were employed or in graduate school, the military, volunteering, or taking a gap year. So 69.2% employed, 25% graduate school, and then you'll see the other stats. If we look at our locations, 2.6 reside outside of the US, and then 97.4 in the US. And you'll see some of these non-US locations. Some of our top US locations are Michigan, Illinois, California, Indiana. You'll see a good percentage of our graduates do end up staying in the Michigan area. And then some of the top US cities, Grand Rapids being our first, Chicago, Holland, and then the others. But we do have students and we have alums everywhere from all over the world who find opportunity all over the world. And then just to take a snapshot of some of the majors from 2019 and the number of students that graduated in those majors. So you'll see business as our top major in engineering, but as well as so many others on here. Graduate summary statistics are next. And I want to say this is typical every year. About 89.5% of our students have at least one internship before they even graduate from Calvin. And so we're proud of that. And then these are some of our notable employers. There were so many. When I was doing this slide, I was like, I can't give a shout out to everybody, but these are some of the places for our 2019 graduates. Some of these are repeat employers that, like I said, once they hire, once they continue to come back. So you'll see that there. And then the next slide, some of our notable graduate schools in 2019, similar to the 2020, but we've added more here. Johns Hopkins, University of Wisconsin, Xavier, The Ohio State University. So lots of great opportunities for Calvin students. I believe these are some of the best students out there. And we're really proud of the comprehensive experience, the liberal arts experience. When I talk to alums, we feature a lot of alums on our website, on our social media pages. A lot of our alums are doing really well, and they end up leading whatever industry that they are in. And I believe it's because they have such a well-rounded education as well as this Christian focus. So their call is bigger than just a career. All right, and I think that's all the time I have.
Yes, so just want to double check in with Melissa to see if she had any information that she wanted to share with us before we get to the parent panel.
Absolutely, yeah, I'd love to take a moment here. First of all, I wanted to say thank you, TaRita, for sharing all that great information with us about the successes of our students over the last couple of years. It really is encouraging to see how well prepared they've been for the future, and I'm sure we'll hear that a bit tonight from some of our parent council members. It's been really encouraging to see the successes that they have in whatever vocation they choose, whether that is to head right into the job field after graduation or head into graduate work, whatever it might be. That's been really encouraging. I wanted to touch on just a couple of things from the admissions perspective, because many of you are parents of seniors and are really thinking through this interesting stage of life, right, where you're getting them ready for college, but also helping them finish out their senior year and all that comes with that. And wanted to leave you with just a couple of key reminders and helps as you prepare for all of that. The first thing I wanted to remind you of is that we have lots of different ways that you can visit. So there are virtual ways that you can visit and also in-person ways that you can visit right now. We are open on campus for visitors, and we definitely welcome you to come join us. While we do have some limited times available for that, we do have campus visits where you can potentially schedule a tour, meet with an admissions counselor, and really work through those questions that you might have. Perhaps meet with financial aid and work through any questions you have on your scholarship or funding questions. We also have several opportunities to meet with faculty and students throughout the week as well to just hear more about the experience and ask questions of them. Those are all found on our visit page, calvin.edu/visit. Great resource. One I would refer you to is called Calvin Connections, where we have faculty and department leaders every Monday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern time to connect with you and just share some information and have some Q&A time to ask about what the biomedical programs are like or engineering programs are like, just to get a firsthand perspective. Coming up, for those of you that have students that are admitted and are potentially considering Calvin this fall, which I hope every single one of you has that situation happening, we have Admitted Student Day coming up. We're just in the beginning stages of getting that loaded and kind of finalized, but we are planning on that on Friday, March 26th for our first date. That's an on-campus event. And then another date following up in mid-April, and we'll get that one finalized very soon. We also have opportunities to visit virtually as well. And so any one of our admissions counselors would be happy to share with you their calendar to be able to schedule some time to talk with them for whatever types of questions that you have. So visit is my number one thing that you can do right now as you finalize how things are going to go for your student next fall. The second thing I wanted to review is that you're going to want to consider as you're working through this, what is that whole package that you're considering with college? You have a lot of decisions to make right now. One of the things I hope you'll keep in mind is this career outcomes. What does success look like for my student? This LifeWork program that we have is an amazing way to holistically prepare your student for their adult life, thinking about that vocation, that calling that they have. Considering, is it valuable for your son or daughter to have faith wrapped around in their learning and part of their everyday experience? A place like Calvin does that. Also want to consider the location. TaRita talked about some of those great employers that we have. Grand Rapids is a vibrant, growing economy. Just read an article today that they're expecting us to go back to kind of normal employment rates after this pandemic here. They're expecting us to recover and go back to that. That just speaks to the strength of the economy and the growth that's around here. And I just really have been very proud to be part of Grand Rapids and what's happening around here, the employment that we have. So that's just definitely a consideration too. And then finally, the full package also includes affordability. Calvin can make it happen for you. So ask those questions, dive into the details, and we'll keep working with you. Two more quick reminders before I get kind of hooked off of the stage here. Decisions are a big piece of that. So as you're reviewing all of those key things, the resources and benefits that you have, financial aid, location, also be thinking through, like, there are some deadlines coming up. May 1st is the decision deadline for our domestic students, June 1st for our international students. You want to be heading towards that to really solidify where are you going to be this fall? And then along with that, some key steps to take. We just opened on Friday orientation. That registration is now available for our incoming students. So if you didn't yet hear from your son or daughter that they got that email on Friday, it is there, it's live. They can get that date registered and get that all set for your summer calendar. Housing also is now available as well. So students can get priority consideration for their housing too. My last note is that as we get through the spring, it's tempting to be a little stressed out about all that has to be accomplished. But I do hope that you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the end of this year, as tumultuous as it is. Enjoy the last couple of months of that senior year with your students. Looking forward to graduation in whatever way that you'll be able to celebrate that. And just really prepping for this exciting road that's ahead of them here as they head into college this next year. I do encourage you at any point to be adding questions to our Q&A panel here. I believe that is live for you. And in just a moment here, we're going to transition to our parent council who's here tonight, different members. And so with that, I just wanted to leave my final reminder, and you'll see some notes here at the end, that we are here to help you out. And we really want to be here to support you. So please reach out to the admissions team, either directly, through me, through any one of our leaders, and we'd be happy to help you out with that. with that, I'll hand the mic over to Avery.
Wonderful. Thanks, Melissa and TaRita. So yeah, we'll go ahead and start with the question and answer section. And so I am joined tonight by members of our parent council. They'll go ahead and introduce themselves. And so I'll just let them do that. So we'll go ahead and start. We'll do alphabetical order, which I guess is also the order that's on the screen. So we'll have Alan and Rose start us off.
My name is Alan Kajiwara. We have two girls. One graduated from Calvin in 2020. One is now a junior. And our youngest son is a senior in high school. He'll be attending Calvin in the fall. As you can tell, we love the school. I am retired, spent a career in the business office of a law firm. Born in Chicago, lived in Illinois all my life. This is my wife, Rose.
Hi, I'm still employed. I work for Allstate as a contract negotiator. And I just want everyone to know that when our firstborn graduated, she got into her top 2 graduate school programs. So you get the outcomes that you want by graduating from Calvin.
Hi, my name is Ron Link, and I live in Bradenton, Florida, which is the west coast of Florida. Excuse me. I actually graduated from Calvin just a few years ago. My son, Ryan, he graduated last year with a degree in accounting and a minor in Spanish. He currently is in the MAC program at Calvin. It's a Master's of Accounting. It's a 1-year program. He plans on sitting for the CPA exam later this year. And the stat that really convinced him to do that at Calvin was that this MAC program at Calvin is in the top 3% of pass rates on their first time. So taking that CPA exam, which is I believe a 6-part exam. So yeah, just really delighted that he's there. He's made some incredible friendships and relationships with profs, and it's been a great experience for him. We'll get to talk about that a little bit later. But those relationships are very important. I am actually in business with a guy I met at Calvin, and we're 38 years in, so it's going pretty good so far. Thanks.
And I am Tammy Van Veldhuizen, and I'm also a Calvin graduate just a few years ago, as well as my husband graduated from there. We have a daughter who graduated there in 2018, and she had a degree in kinesiology and is currently at the University of Michigan studying for getting her physical therapy degree, hopefully in August. Currently, we have a son who is a sophomore. Oh my goodness. He's a sophomore at Calvin, and he's studying finance. And I have a junior in high school who is hopefully going to be a future knight in a year and a half. So we love the school, and we're so happy to be here talking about it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you all for joining. And I do want to start and kind of ask a question of whether your students anticipated that they were going to go into the field that they are currently pursuing, and what that journey for them was like at Calvin.
I can start. My daughter that graduated in 2018 started out with a math and education major and ended up kinesiology, physical therapy, totally opposite. She actually played soccer at Calvin and kind of had a passion for that, and that kind of steered her in that direction, as well as some professors that kind of helped in that decision making. And my son, who's currently there, started in physical therapy, I think because his sister did, but very quickly realized that wasn't for him. And has a passion for finance and investing, and kind of talked to some professors and put that to work for him. And that's where he's at now. So neither of mine so far have done what they thought they would.
Yeah, was there any particular experiences that kind of led them to make that discovery that what they initially thought wasn't for them, and then moving into something that they wanted to explore?
Well, like I said, for my daughter, it was kind of playing soccer and getting into and taking a few classes in that area, like sports, kind of led her in that direction with the coaches and people she interacted with. My son just realized when he took his first chemistry class that wasn't for him. And he's always loved investing in the stock market and all that. So just kind of pursued that. I don't know if others have that same.
I'd say I don't like chemistry very much either, but Al and Rose, and then Ron, what about your students' experiences?
Our firstborn was the rare child who actually knew what she wanted to do and stuck with it the whole time. So her path was easy. She always knew she wanted to go into physical therapy, and she wants to focus on either, this is the funny thing, either children or senior citizens. She can't make up her mind, but that's okay. She's got time to figure it out. Now, the second child started out as a physics and English double major, realized halfway through the year, she really didn't care for the physics. So then she switched and started focusing more on the English side of it. And she went through a few changes there, but she is still in the whole English writing communication, somewhere in that field.
Wonderful. And Ron?
Yeah, I think my son knew he wanted to be in the business program. It's the beauty of the liberal arts school is you get a taste of everything. So you don't just jump right into what you think you want to do. You get a chance to experience other types of classes. And I believe as a freshman, he did some aptitude testing with his career counselor and gravitated to the accounting program. So he's a numbers guy and he loves that and he succeeds at it. So I think he found his niche.
Wonderful. I also can attest to the how great the liberal arts kind of gives you an advantage for exploring a number of different areas. I love starting out with that question because I started out thinking I was going to be just a religion major, and then I added religion and philosophy, and then I switched religion for sociology, and then I added classics to the mix, and then finally in my senior year I realized the only thing that's missing from this picture is actually psychology. So being able to add all those things together has been was a really great experience for me personally and helped me kind of personalize things along the way. Kind of in that light of personalizing things and being able to kind of dig into that, what were some of the opportunities that your students were able to take advantage of when they were at Calvin that were really helpful for them?
Our oldest, since she knew that she wanted to go into physical therapy, she is in physical therapy at Midwestern University right now, about half an hour from our house. But she was able to work in an internship for a whole year at the Mary Free Bed Hospital in downtown Grand Rapids, which Calvin set up. And she was just doing PT internship in many different areas. You know, there's many areas in PT. Some is catastrophic accidents or children who need help or just people who've had surgery. And so she was able to go to the departments and get experience and just see what the job is like. And it just sold her more and more on, and she was on the right path. Our second daughter has dreams of being a writer. I think there's like a million people who want to do that, but she knows that she's going to have to get a day job. And one of the things that she's been able to do is work on the Calvin website. She got a part-time job at the website and is thoroughly enjoying working there. And she's just getting experience that I think is just as valuable as the education in working in a field doing something that she's found that she really likes. So those are, I think.
Well, and don't forget when she was a physics major for that short time, she got a job at the observatory. So whatever it is that the child thinks is their passion, Calvin does their best to find you a way to match that with your opportunities in a vocation as well. So she did get to work in the observatory. She also got to work on the communication sites. She's getting mentored by some of the professors themselves who are, you know, they're published authors. These are famous people, and they take time out of their day to coach her. And these are opportunities you don't get at other schools. So we're really thrilled with what Calvin does for the students.
I can answer. My daughter, the one that's also in physical therapy, there's a theme here. She took advantage of the travel opportunities that Calvin had there. She went to China and she went to Nepal. She did two. And she really realized that one was a medical missions type trip, and one was to study Western medicine, or Western medicine, sorry. And it just really validated her choice. And the professors that went with were fantastic and great role models, and yeah, mentored her. And she even in grad school now went on a trip. She just found her passion there. So that was one of the things that really steered her in believing that that's where she needed to be, and kind of cemented that for her.
And just to piggyback on that, Tammy, my son is a junior. He's a Spanish minor. So he went to the Yucatan Peninsula there in Mexico, and he actually lived with a Mexican family in the capital city of Merida. It was an incredible experience and just immersed him in the language. And that's what cemented it for him. That was a fantastic opportunity. And then as a senior, he went to the Philippines. And that was an incredible trip. And they just got it in before COVID. And there happened to be a volcano going over there too at the same time. So Calvin just did a wonderful job of navigating that. They had to change some plans, leave from a different island. But just, you know, he's experienced more of the world than what I have. And he's 23 years old. So, you know, my son had an internship that was a very good experience for him as well at a CPA firm. And, you know, the other thing, my son played basketball his freshman year, and after the year, he didn't want to commit to what it would take to continue doing that based on his studies. So intramurals filled that gap for him. And that was a very, very good experience for him. He's played that ever since. So, yeah, the staff that put together those trips are just incredible. And even the one that he went to Yucatan, he happened to be home here for Christmas, and they arranged it so he could fly from Tampa, which is where we live, to Yucatan, which is so much closer than going back to Michigan. And they make it happen.
Yeah, I have a joke. It's pretty terrible if you hear it more than once. But I do like to say there are two types of students at Calvin: those who went abroad and those who wish they went abroad, because the experiences that they have are absolutely incredible, and they do solidify things. They do change your perspectives, and even if it's not directly applicable to what you're studying, it will just change the way that you approach really anything that you do. So it is really great to have that, to, like you said, have the professors and the staff that can be so accommodating and can kind of set things up for you and make a full experience out of it. That's one thing that's really great about our study abroad options, is that it's professor-led, and also that your financial aid travels with you. So it's probably one of the most affordable times to travel abroad, which is a huge bonus. But I do want to highlight something that actually I think all of you had mentioned, which would be internships, and then just asking how did your students find out about internships, and then we'll talk a little bit larger about how students find internships in Calvin in general.
We're going to bring our student here.
Well, looks like we have a guest speaker. This is wonderful.
This is our daughter, Elisa, who graduated in 2020, and she's going to talk about how she found her internship.
Other side. Yeah.
She's the student at physical therapy.
Hi. So for me, Calvin has a club for physical, occupational, recreational therapists, people who want to become therapists. And they bring in speakers. And one of the speakers came in from Mary Free Bed, and he talked about what they do there. We visited on another occasion, and I learned that they had student volunteers. And so that's how I got to know that someone from Mary Free Bed. I applied for a volunteership, I guess, and yeah, it was great. I did it for about a whole year, like one school year split between 2 years.
How many hours a week?
It was about 3 hours a week. I did it on Saturdays, so I would take a shift and cover a majority of a floor, which was great because on weekends I had to cover the entire floor, so I got to see all of the patients there, from traumatic brain injury to just had an amputation. It was amazing. And you know, you can cover for other people will cover for you on the Facebook page, and so on and so forth.
And what year were you whenever you got that internship or that volunteership?
Junior. Yeah, I started as a junior and continued into my senior year.
Oh, awesome. Would you say any particular experiences from doing that volunteership internship kind of helped you in the future or strengthened your application when you're applying for grad school?
Absolutely. You need at least a certain number of hours to volunteer, or a volunteer shadowing something in order to apply at all for grad schools. And, you know, I got to learn a lot. I also learned that there was a outpatient location, so I volunteered there for the second quarter I helped. Or semester, sorry. Calvin's on semesters.
That's awesome. Well, thanks for sharing. Thanks for giving that student perspective.
We did, however, we did have to get her a car because it wasn't close by.
Rose, any other opportunities that y'all wanted to highlight, or? Okay. Ron, Tammy, any internships or experiences and how we got connected?
You know, it was just well, my son had to have a certain number of internship hours as a qualification to graduate school. But it's, you know, when I went to school, they didn't do those things. But now it's like everybody knows that's what they do. It's that real life experience while you're going to school. And, you know, the classmates of my son talked about the internships they had, guys in class ahead of them. The profs really steered them as well. And the CPA firm my son worked at, I believe there was 3 Calvin students working there. And it worked out really good because he could schedule his classes 2 days a week where he was done at noon and then spend the afternoon working in that firm. So he didn't have to do nights or weekends, and it was a great experience for him. And he got paid.
Avery, I just also want to add, you know, we have students from all over, and not just students who want to just intern in Grand Rapids. They intern and work everywhere. We've had students at United Nations, Republic to Rwanda, Google, Indeed, Goldman, KPMG, Denver Public Schools, Chicago Public Schools, just depending on your industry. We have a system in the Career Center called Handshake. It's connected to every major opportunity, not just for Calvin students, but these opportunities that are all over. Every student, when they come to Calvin, gets a profile in our Handshake system. Now, we do ask them to develop this profile, put their resume in, because resumes are searched on this profile. In addition to that, we have an employer relations team that works with our students. So when they come in for coaching, no matter where they want to go in the world, we're going to work with them and equip them to how do you find jobs and internships. We have tools, we have resources, as well as the connection with the faculty and alums. We also have alumni databases that we can connect folks to. If they need an inroads into that organization, we can help them do that. The same thing with graduate school. So know that you're not limited to just Michigan. It could be anywhere.
Yeah, thanks, TaRita, for adding on to that. Just real quick, want to see, Tammy, if you had any. Okay, so
I think it's all been said. That's fine.
I do want to add that, so we have the Career Center that provides a lot of wonderful opportunities for students to find internships. But the other big opportunity for students to get connected with internships is just getting connected with professors. So having the one-on-one connections with professors, I think Rose talked about having just the mentorship model that the professors take with students, having those connections where they know what you're interested in, they know what you're passionate about, and they know the field. And so they can connect you with specific opportunities, and they have the good connections with the city and even globally to say, this is a wonderful opportunity. I think that you would be a great fit for it. But in addition to that, students can find internships on their own. They can find it through the Career Center. They can find it with connections and professors. But also a lot of our programs have internships actually built into the course requirements. So they will have semesters where they know they can have additional internships. But at this time, this is typically when students take an internship, usually junior year. I do actually, I think, want to bring TaRita back for a question about really the direction of how students kind of end up in certain areas and how they kind of come to certain decisions. So how do students take advantage of the Career Center for helping decide what major they want to pick and really just the journey of picking a career and getting to that to the end of the day?
Absolutely. We don't want to be the panic office. So we don't want students to wait until their senior year to say, oh my goodness, I got to get a job and put it off. It's actually your first year. I mentioned the Calvin LifeWork program. I cannot say enough about that. That is crafted modules that will work with students alongside with our coaching. Every student that is in that program has to do a resume. They do career exploration modules. They can talk to people in these careers. We do something called informational interviews where they have to reach out and talk to somebody that they think they may be interested in. And we provide them a list of alums. We provide them a list of different opportunities. They can watch other informational interviews, but really have that one-on-one coaching as well. We have assessments. And even for students today, prospective students, if any of you are interested, we have an assessment that was co-created by a Calvin alum called Pathway U that really looks at the student's interest. It looks at their personality, and it looks at some other factors to determine, wow, these are some potential matches that may match you. And then it links to a system called ONET, and it'll tell them the career outlook, the jobs that are in different geographies, what the pay is, what the potential pay could be in different geographies, as well as if additional education or certifications are needed. They take this Pathway U assessment, and then they meet one-on-one with a coach that helps to explain that assessment. So career exploration can start as early as you want it to. Even as you're looking at Calvin as a prospective place, reach out to the Career Center. We would be more than willing to help you. But definitely by the time you're in your first year, I would highly encourage the Calvin LifeWork program. There are things in that program that people don't know till you get there, and they're like, oh my goodness, I learned not only about careers, but it's got so many different videos of alums in there and just different projects that are practical that they do. Goals, like I said, budgeting, interviewing. They even have to do practice interviews, and these things are graded. In addition to that, they are required to either do an internship through our program or a research fellowship if they're interested in graduate school. So these are some great ways, having multiple internship opportunities and volunteer opportunities that we can help guide, can help you learn about your career interests too.
Yeah, I can't say enough about the LifeWork program. Also, Pathway U is a wonderful resource that just gives you some insights in your your work style, personality, and what fields would be a good fit for you. Really, really great resources. I would say there are a lot of unspoken things about college in general, and those really, really help to say, this is something that you may not learn in the classroom. This isn't the specific thing that you have a test, but this is just real life preparation that you need in college. And I think the professional opportunities kind of fits within that area as well, just because nowadays an entry-level job usually requires 2 to 3 years of experience, and usually some form of internship. So having that experience beforehand is a really, really important thing once you get to the career field. And going through the LifeWork program and hearing some of that info is just really crucial in terms of being prepared all along the way. I do want to ask real quick, Tammy, you said that your student played soccer, is that right?
Yeah, he played JV soccer last year, obviously not this year. So, yeah, and my daughter played varsity. She played soccer for her 4 years. Yeah.
Okay, so I know we have a question about how athletics is integrated within kind of making sure that you're on the right track, that you're able to get those internships and the proper experience. So maybe we could start there, and then also to see for Alrose and Ron, for your students, how they were able to balance having a social life, having a full student life, but also being able to pursue full professional opportunities. That work-life fun balance, I guess.
So my daughter did the 4 years of soccer, and she made great friends. Her social life kind of revolved around that, and from the beginning, it was really nice. They all gelled, and she picked her traveling abroad and stuff. In the off season and we loved the interim, which is going to be more in May now, I believe. It's this January was the last January term, so she did that. Her traveling and stuff during that time, and during the off season. And she's a very driven person, so it worked well for her. My son that did soccer last year, he didn't. His friend circle was more from people he met during Quest. During his beginning, Quest is the how would you explain that, Avery? They're in their orientation groups. Is that how you explain that? Yeah. So he's but he still is doing the intramurals and just getting out there and expanding his social circle. It's kind of fun to see how he's grown in that way, which is a little different than his personality when he was in high school. It's really kind of neat to see how each personality, each kid, goes off and just kind of makes their own way, and they're not necessarily going the same route you think they would have, but it's really fun to see. And I think Calvin's just a great place, and just the spiritual life of the kids that my two have interacted with has just been phenomenal. And I so appreciate that they're surrounded by not just the faculty, but all the other kids they've interacted with. And I think I'm going off topic, but I just had to put that in there. The spiritual life has just been great. There's a lot of opportunities there. So.
No, yeah, I think that's great. I think that's an additional component of the fullness of the experience, and it does go right alongside that, to be able to pursue academics, have your student life, and also have your faith leading all of that, making sure that there's room for that within everything that you're doing at Calvin. Ron, I do just want to toss it to you, because I know you mentioned the basketball intramurals. I was an absolute fan of the basketball intramurals. I wish I wore my intramurals champions t-shirt tonight. But yeah, how did that work out for your student?
Yeah, as I mentioned, he played on the freshman team his first year. And quite honestly, it was harder for me to see him stop playing than it was for him. But he realized that, the commitment in being on a basketball team was big. And he wanted to enjoy more than that. He wanted his free time. And the intramurals definitely filled that gap for him. And I believe if they're still going on, I'm sure he's playing them. But the process of seeing your kid becoming an adult, it's really rewarding to see him like go to church on his own, make that decision for himself. and the friends he chooses, you know, the independence he gains. I mean, Calvin just comes right alongside you to steer you in that process. And you know, one of the benefits we have being on the Parents Council is we are exposed to many different departments, even like from security to the medical team and it's just incredible. Everyone who presents to us is just, it seems like they're cutting edge. They are on top of it. It just blows me away every time. So I'm just very happy with his situation and how he's become an adult.
Ron, that is so good to hear. Thank you for sharing that. And thanks to all of you for sharing that. Avery has frozen, and luckily he froze in a really great pose there. Not all freezes are as generous as that, so that's good. I wanted to turn to maybe one last question here if we have time for that, and possibly one more, but I wanted to just verify where we're standing here with time. One of the parents had asked about one of the stats that we have out there is that 45% of our students graduate debt-free. And the question was around what programs and activities does Calvin provide to help them get to that point. Wanted to highlight a couple of things that I know about. I'm pretty new here though. I started with Calvin back in July. And so feel free to add to this if you're also aware of additional resources that you've run across. One thing I know is that our financial aid office has really done a lot of outreach, not just to new students, but also to current students, to encourage them to continue to apply for additional scholarship opportunities, to consider things like student employment, outside scholarships. We have our named scholarships happen every spring, that application. So they continue to help support students in looking for additional sources of aid. The other thing that I know is a big benefit is our LifeWork program, which TaRita talked briefly about in the beginning. But that financial literacy and the learning that comes from that, really valuable. And TaRita, I wonder if you could talk just a little bit more about what that financial literacy program does.
So it is spread out of the course of the 4 years. So that first year, they're learning about a budget. They're learning if they do have student loans, they actually have to go in and look at, do a calculator of those student loans and kind of prepare how would they live. They look at expenses with that. They learn about taxes. They learn how to negotiate that job offer. They learn all about benefits. I remember when I first started a job, I didn't really understand about retirement and you know, this thing called compound interest. And they learn all of that in this program. So each year, there are 2 modules that are specifically dedicated with practical activities. They are taught by one of our Career Center folks who is our employer relations manager, who also works with the Ron Blue Institute. Ron Blue likes to consider himself like a milder version of a Dave Ramsey, but his main motto is, you know, God owns everything. And so we teach them that stewardship through this program. They also work with one of our professors that worked in executive leadership at Goldman Sachs for a number of years, Dirk Preuss. He guides a lot of these heavy content models. He also teaches a finance class that is an elective. It's a personal finance class, and it always has a wait list. So if they're in the program, they'll automatically get a lot of the concepts that he covers in these classes.
Excellent. Would any parents like to add to that? It's a hard topic, right? Affordability of college and how that all works out in the end. It's hard to get off at zero, but certainly trying to make a dent on that and make it fall into what's feasible and affordable for you. A good value overall. Ron, any comment in there?
Well, there's a lot of scholarship out there. You need to spend some time and work on it. My son this year in graduate school ended up getting a gift, a scholarship, the Donald Preuss Scholarship, and it kind of came out of nowhere. But it was significant. And I did write my last tuition check recently, and I'm happy about that. But yeah, I partnered with him in that cost, but there's a lot out there. You just need to invest the time to work on it and talk about it. And it's well worth it. I'll say that.
That's excellent. Thank you for sharing that. It is getting close to the end of our time. I wondered if I could leave just one last question. TaRita, how do students get involved with LifeWork? That was a question that came across there.
Yes, as they're filling out information about Calvin, even in the application, we ask them if they're interested. So I get this list probably every Monday of prospective students who are interested in Calvin LifeWork. But also when they come in that first year, we do a lot of marketing. You'll get a lot of mail, a lot of information directly from me, from my career coaches. They will know, they will hear a lot about Calvin LifeWork. We'll have some form of kickoff, whether it's virtual or in person, which is kind of like a fun event that explains the program. They get to learn, our coaches, they get to learn about the tasks they have to do. They do something once a month. And it's not a lot, but you kind of have to push these students a little bit sometimes. I have parents who have said like, oh no, you will get back in the Calvin LifeWork program. And then now what we've seen is from the first year to like the senior year, now the feedback from those students are like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad I got to do this. I know how to interview. I know about, finances. I also wanted to say we have a program called Nexus that is run out of the business department. And these are students who are like financial advisors, junior financial advisors that are trained. We do advertise that in our program, even though it's not a part of the program. So along with just that financial literacy, I think is really important. But please encourage your students. You will get a plethora of information about Calvin LifeWork. Usually by October, we have a deadline for them to sign up for the program. They could always reach out to our office as well.
Fantastic. Well, we have just about hit our time. Want to make sure we respect that time and get you all onto the rest of your evenings, whether it's almost time for bed or maybe still time to make dinner. Wanted to thank you all for being part of our presentation tonight. A special thank you to our parents, Al and Rose and Ron and Tammy. Thank you for being part of this tonight and sharing your stories with our prospective parents who are here as members tonight. And TaRita, thank you also for being part of this. Just really appreciate that. We will be sending out a recording of this, hopefully by the end of the week, as well as a link to a couple more resources. Please take advantage of that and connect with our team as you have additional questions. You can find us all at calvin.edu/admissions or email us at admissions@calvin.edu. Happy to help you out. Lots of big steps ahead, and we're definitely here for you. So thank you so much. Have a great night, everybody.